The situation surrounding Dakota Ditcheva right now perfectly captures the harsh reality of combat sports where dominance can sometimes become a problem rather than an advantage. Because despite being undefeated, a world champion, and one of the most dangerous finishers in the sport, she finds herself stuck in a frustrating position with no clear opponent, no defined path, and limited activity. Which is the exact opposite of what a rising star needs at this stage of her career, and her recent comments about wanting anyone to fight don't come from arrogance but from pure frustration after running through the competition so convincingly that the promotion is now struggling to find someone credible enough to match her level, especially after her dominant win over Taila Santos, where she didn't just win but made it look easy, further widening the gap between her and the rest of the division. And this creates a serious problem for Professional Fighters League because while they have built her into a star and invested in her as a future face of the promotion, they now have to balance protecting that investment with actually giving her meaningful competition, and reports that the Ultimate Fighting Championship showed interest in signing her only add fuel to the situation, especially since PFL reportedly blocked any potential move. Which has led to growing frustration among fans who want to see her tested against elite names like Valentina Shevchenko or Alexa Grasso, fighters who could push her skills to the limit and help define her legacy at the highest level. But instead she remains in a kind of competitive limbo where she's too good for most available opponents yet not active enough to keep building momentum, and inactivity for a fighter like her isn't rest. It's a setback both mentally and professionally because momentum is everything in this sport. And while she has remained respectful toward PFL and acknowledged the opportunities they've given her, loyalty alone doesn't solve the issue of inactivity or lack of elite matchups. Which is why the potential fight against Liz Carmouche suddenly becomes so important and compelling, as it represents a genuine test against a seasoned veteran with a completely different style and mindset, someone who brings experience, wrestling pressure, clinch control, and high-level fight IQ into the cage, making it a classic clash of youth versus experience, striker versus grappler, and hype versus proven durability. And Carmouche is not just any opponent but a pioneer of women's MMA who has competed at the highest levels, including historic moments like facing Ronda Rousey in the first women's UFC fight, along with winning titles and building a career based on resilience and toughness, which makes her a dangerous matchup for someone like Ditcheva, who thrives on controlling distance, landing precise strikes, and finishing fights early. Because if Carmouche is able to close the distance, slow the pace, and turn the fight into a grinding battle, it could expose areas of Ditcheva's game that haven't been fully tested yet, and that's exactly what makes this potential matchup so high risk and high reward for PFL, because if Ditcheva wins, especially in dominant fashion, her star power skyrockets and she cements herself as a legitimate global force ready for super fights. But if she loses, the aura of invincibility that has been carefully built around her takes a significant hit, which is why this decision is not just about matchmaking but about the future direction of the division and the promotion itself. And what makes the storyline even more intense is Carmouche's direct and aggressive callout, making it clear that she isn't intimidated by Ditcheva's record or reputation and fully believes her experience can break the undefeated streak, while Ditcheva's response has been calm but confident, showing she's willing to take the challenge without hesitation, which reinforces the idea that she isn't interested in protecting her record but improving her level against anyone put in front of her. And ultimately, this entire situation raises bigger questions about whether she should remain loyal to PFL or eventually move toward opportunities that offer deeper competition. Because at this stage of her career, the real goal isn't just winning fights but building a legacy. And that requires facing the toughest opponents available. And whether that happens inside PFL or elsewhere, one thing is clear: Dakota Ditcheva is not willing to stay inactive for long. And whatever happens next could define not just her career but the future landscape of women's MMA. After a brutal performance, a top UFC contender sent a direct message to one of the most dangerous undefeated fighters in the world. And this time, it wasn't hype or clout chasing, it was a clear warning. Jasmine Jasudavicius made her intentions known loud and clear. She's coming for Dakota Ditcheva. This instantly turned into a potential cross-promotion collision. At the UFC Fight Night in Canada on April 18, 2026, Jasmine stepped into the cage against Karine Silva and walked away with a dominant unanimous decision victory. But the scorecards didn't fully capture what happened inside the octagon. Jasmine survived dangerous submission attempts early on, including a deep triangle choke, showing composure under pressure. Instead of panicking, she stayed patient, waited for openings, and then took over the fight. As the rounds progressed, she imposed her grappling, pressure, and relentless pace, turning the tide completely. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. What made things even more interesting was what happened after the fight. Instead of calling out someone within the UFC rankings, Jasmine went outside the promotion and targeted Dakota Ditcheva directly. Her message was cold and confident: she's coming for her. No hesitation, no build-up, just pure intent. Jasmine isn't just another name in the division. She's ranked among the best, with a strong record and elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu skills. Known for her suffocating pressure and insane output, like landing over 300 strikes in a single fight, she doesn't rely on one-shot knockouts. Instead, she breaks opponents over time and dominates on the ground. On the other side stands Dakota Ditcheva, undefeated with a perfect record and a reputation for finishing fights violently. As a PFL world champion with a high knockout rate, she brings explosive Muay Thai striking, precision, and killer instinct. She doesn't just win. She ends fights decisively. Even in moments of adversity, like breaking her hand mid-fight, she continues to dominate. Stylistically, this matchup is chaos. Jasmine thrives on pressure, grappling, and endurance, dragging opponents into deep waters. Dakota, however, is all about explosive finishes. She only needs a single opening to end the fight. This creates a dangerous contrast. One fighter overwhelms over time, the other destroys in an instant. But this isn't just about styles, it's about something bigger. UFC versus PFL. Two different promotions, two separate worlds that rarely collide. Jasmine didn't just suggest the fight, she forced attention onto it. Calling out Dakota is bold, and it changes the conversation entirely. Now the big question remains: does Dakota respond? Can Jasmine survive the striking long enough to impose her game? Or is Dakota simply too dangerous for anyone right now? The conversation doesn't stop there. If Dakota were to face a legend like Valentina Shevchenko, it would be a clash between experience and momentum. Valentina represents precision, control, and years of dominance, while Dakota represents speed, aggression, and the new era. It becomes a battle of control versus chaos, where one mistake could decide everything. Similarly, if someone like Amanda Serrano steps into the mix, it adds another layer. A multi-division champion with knockout power and relentless pressure, Serrano brings legacy and experience. But even she seems aware of the rising threat Dakota poses. Because fighters like Dakota don't just win, they take over. And then comes the ultimate fantasy matchup: Amanda Nunes versus Dakota Ditcheva. A clash between one of the greatest of all time and the most explosive rising force in women's MMA. It's the classic question: can the legend still dominate, or has the next generation already arrived? One thing is certain: this isn't just talk anymore. These matchups represent a shift in women's MMA. If even one of these fights happens, it could redefine the entire landscape. The situation surrounding Dakota Ditcheva right now perfectly captures the harsh reality of combat sports, where dominance can sometimes become a problem. Rather than an advantage, because despite being undefeated, a world champion, and one of the most dangerous finishers in the sport, she finds herself stuck in a frustrating position with no clear opponent, no defined path, and limited activity, which is the exact opposite of what a rising star needs at this stage of her career. And her recent comments about wanting anyone to fight don't come from arrogance but from pure frustration after running through the competition so convincingly that the promotion is now struggling to find someone credible enough to match her level, especially after her dominant win over Taila Santos, where she didn't just win but made it look easy, further widening the gap between her and the rest of the division. And this creates a serious problem for Professional Fighters League, because while they have built career, the real goal isn't just winning fights but building a legacy. And that requires facing the toughest opponents available, and whether that happens inside PFL or elsewhere, one thing is clear: Dakota Ditcheva is not willing to stay inactive for long, and whatever happens next could define not just her career but the future landscape of women's MMA.